You're watching Inside Boston, winner of the Fox News College Challenge for Best News Story.
Local residents looking to stay tuned into the lowdown on Boston culture follow Boston Tweet. Now the website's creator, Tom O'Keefe, is in the studio tonight with our own Eric Leist. Eric?
Thanks, Grant. Well, I'm here with the man behind @Boston Tweet, Tom O'Keefe. Tom, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great time.
So, tell me the story behind Boston Tweet. Where did you come up with the idea? How did you get into that?
Well, Boston Tweet was actually created about a year ago, November 20th, 2008. And actually, at the time, I had a couple startups. After the market crashed, they became absolutely worthless. So I needed to create a new concept really fast that created effective, cheap advertising or marketing for local businesses. So went to Twitter, tried Twitter out probably a year before, didn't get it. I just didn't understand why people would care about me. But once I looked at it on the Boston Tweet side to focus on local businesses, it made a lot of sense. And so it was a way to kind of create awareness, create chatter about businesses in an economy that I thought was going to be like 1929 and be a crash and no one would be out. And so there was a selfish side to it too, to not want to be the only person at the public house or out at the restaurants or anything.
So can you talk a little bit about the community of people that have sort of formed around what you've been tweeting about to figure out what's going on in the city during the nightlife, during the day, what's going on in City Hall?
Yeah, at first when it first started it was slow. It was just me kind of sending out information. It was very stale. And then people started sending great feedback back, like what's the best pizza place? What's the best burger spot? And from there was a lot of great information I felt like we needed to index. So we created a software, BostonTweet.com website, which thread the information, thread the replies into kind of a usable database, sort of like a Yelp style. And then from there it just kept growing. People were allowed to publish directly to the site by creating a new tweet with my handle in there. And so from there people are just publishing news and events, things that are happening, traffic jams, MBTA backups. And now it's definitely made my job a lot easier because people feed me most of the information now. So it's been great.
Cool. So it's interesting how we see the internet sort of breaking down geographic boundaries, and then what we see especially in Boston and with what you've been doing is sort of putting those geographic boundaries back in terms of the internet. So can you talk a little bit about how this town, specifically Boston, has embraced internet technology and Twitter especially?
Yeah, well, Boston's a very technical region. We have 250,000 college kids. We have one of the best technical schools in the world. And so obviously it's a natural hub for technology, new innovation. We've always possibly been a little behind Silicon Valley that gets all the high-flying, sexy startups, but there were no lack of them here, especially on the technology behind the side, biotechnology. So the amazing thing about Twitter, you can talk with anyone in the world, you can converse with anyone, you can converse with celebrities without any barriers, but it also is very effective in just bringing it back home to your local community, and that's kind of where Boston Tweet works really well. I'm not trying to talk about every city, I don't know every city, just keeping it focused here locally. You get to meet pretty much the majority of people that you follow, and it creates that connection and that bond, and it becomes even more effective when you focus locally and have a niche.
So shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about that contest that you just ran, basically asking which college in the Boston area embraces Twitter the most. What was that like?
That was an amazing response, and it's awesome to see the school spirit behind all the universities here in Boston. So basically I asked, what college in Boston, Boston-based college, is the most Twitter-friendly university in the city, in the greater city? And the response was overwhelming. It blew me away. It was kind of the official BU and Emerson and Boston College handles trying to get their alumni to tweet about it, really starting to build up school spirit and really getting kind of a very rooted rivalry between everybody. So received roughly about 400 replies, and BU ultimately in numbers won. I think with roughly about 150 replies for BU, and as you can see from here, they're definitely a very on top of the communication world. Emerson, have to give them a hat off to Emerson. They, with a much smaller population, did very, very well with about 100 replies, and they're quite impressive when it comes to communication. And it's no surprise, BU and Emerson are top communication schools in the city. BC's politics and finance, and Tufts also did very well, but they're possibly a little more focused on the medicine side. So it really speaks to exactly the focus of the university.
Great. So a lot of people would call what you're doing on Twitter sort of an event guide. Where do you see the future of event guides going based on what you've seen from what you've been tweeting?
Yeah, it's definitely a little more of a mix. It's not just spitting out, here's what's happening, and kind of dry event listings. It's a little more interactive. So a lot of it's based on what their feedback's going to be, and based on that is how I define what's going to be sent next. It's definitely Twitter is changing, at least the media game, changing a lot, competing with communications on that end. How it changes the event guides, I'm still not 100% sure. It's definitely effective in getting it out there immediately, effective at getting instant feedback and communication with your followers, or if you're a band, it's easier than posting to a website, easier than posting to a blog. We'll see. I think over the next few years, media will change significantly, including event guide and information, and probably be more Twitter-based. But that's still up in the air. I think it's replacing blogs. I think people are, maybe it's because our attention spans have become so little now, that we don't want to write 2 paragraphs for a blog. 140 characters is a lot easier. So it's definitely replacing that medium, and most likely we'll switch everything up. You know, Boston.com, Boston Globe, we're definitely seeing some growing pains with the new Twitter world happening. So it's still working out. So if I can help be the main source for entertainment and events, I would be more than happy.
Great, that sounds great. Well, we wish you luck with all of your Twitter endeavors from here on out. Well, Tom, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was Tom O'Keefe, the man behind @BostonTweet. Michaela?
Thanks, Eric. October 17th marked 8 years of war in Afghanistan.